Welcome to the Redirect Podcast. My name is Abigail Hewins.
And I'm Emily Rojas. The Redirect Podcast is a show where we shift the conversation back to books. We discuss themes from some of our favorite fictional books and how those themes show up in real lived experiences.
On today's episode, we're getting in touch with our middle school selves and deep diving into the world of fan fiction.
But first, as always, if you've been enjoying this podcast, we would humbly ask that you support us in a few simple ways. Just leave a 5-star review wherever you're listening to this and let us know that you're loving the show.
We'd also love for you to follow us on Instagram at Redirect Podcast. And finally, if you really, really like the show, we'd love for you to share it with a friend. Sharing with a friend is the best way to help us grow this little community of book-loving nerds.
Share it with the nerds you know and love in your life. We would love that. Okay, so today we're talking about fan fiction, as you heard, and the reason I wanted to do this episode is obviously if you are a loyal listener, you heard me mention that I have been reading, or I just finished reading, the trilogy of fan fiction that is The Hunger Games from PETA's point of view. It is PETA's Games is the first one by Ixie Grace. If you Google that, I highly recommend it.
Are they like the length of full books?
They are the length of full books. Yes, they are. Wow. They are each, I think they average like 25, 26 chapters, and the chapters are definitely the length of full books. So I did count it towards my reading goals, which we'll talk more about later in this episode. But
Ixie Grace, if you're listening, we'd love to have you on the podcast.
Yes, because I'm a huge fan. I know.
We would love to have you.
Because I see so many people. This is a side note, but I see so many people talking about this particular fan fiction, like on TikTok and stuff. And I'm like, who is she? Who is Ixie Grace? Like, she's just out there with this work of art that is probably being read more than a lot of books. But
Ixie Grace, come on the podcast. Come on the pod.
You're an amazing writer. Incredible.
If you want to stay anonymous, we can keep you anonymous. Come on the podcast.
I hope she is a loyal fan. Or he, or they, whoever you are. I just assume with the grace, you know. Anyways, so that's what made me think we should talk about fan fiction because I haven't really read fan fiction since I was a lot younger, but this has kind of brought me back into it. I'm like, there's a lot of merits to it, so I thought we could do an episode talking about fan fiction. So first I thought we could talk about our own relationships to fan fiction. Did we ever read it? Did we write it? What drew you in? So Abigail, I will ask you to answer first. Did you ever read or write fan fiction, and what was your journey to discovering it?
I never wrote fan fiction. I did read it. I got into fan fiction because of Twilight. Because I was so obsessed, and I think that's like a lot of people our age, their introduction to fan fiction was like,
drug. Yes.
Yeah. Especially back then, like waiting in between books and stuff. It was just like, gosh, I'm obsessed. I didn't write fan fiction probably because I was basically just writing fan fiction about my own life in my head all the time.
Valid.
Like playing, I just was like living in my head, imagining scenarios in which and if you guys are listening to the pod, shout out to you.
I'm bleeping out that.
But like that they loved me and
valid.
Anyways, but I did love to read it. Particularly like when you're like, look, just to be totally transparent, and Mom, maybe you want to skip ahead just like,
oh my God.
15 seconds.
I'm stressed.
But just like when you were like in middle school and you're like reading like, oh, I'm gonna like read like Twilight fanfic, and then all of a sudden it gets spicy and you're like, excusez-moi. Honestly, parents had no clue what was really on the internet at that time.
Yeah,
so
that is true. It was the Wild West.
It was a new frontier.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, that's my relationship to fan fiction. I haven't read it in a while, but I do want to read PETA's Games.
As you should.
I've had a lot of things coming in on my Libby.
I get it.
I feel like I've just been like in a video game mode where I'm just like blocking and like,
yeah.
Anyways, I'm gonna read PETA's Games. Ixie Grace, if you're listening, I'm gonna read it.
Come on the pod.
Come on the podcast, please.
Yeah. So I.
What about you?
Thank you. I read fan fiction. Twilight was also my gateway drug into fan fiction because, like you said, you're waiting in between the books, and I don't know. At the time, like I had friends who I also knew who read fan fiction, and we would like be friends on fanfiction.net, the OG fanfic site. I don't think people really use that one as much anymore, but that's where I was. And yeah, there was something I think, especially with Twilight, which I have in my notes for later, but I'll just say it now, is the characters are so bland and boring that a lot of the fan fiction I would read was like, oh, if they were humans, like, or set in an alternate world, or like you can just take those characters and put them anywhere in any scenario. So there was a lot of different versions of Twilight fan fiction. So I felt like,
dare I say, the worse the plot, or like the more holes there are in the plot,
yes,
the more opportunity there is for fan fiction.
Absolutely. So I did read it a lot, and I did write it, which I will bring up more later. I wrote fan fiction a lot. I loved it. I don't know. I liked doing it. It's kind of hilarious. And yes, I think we're both well enough versed in the fan fiction world to speak on the topic.
We can speak on it with some authority. Yeah.
So I wanted to go into like why I think fan fiction is so popular, at least for me, I guess. So I think there's kind of three categories that I wrote down, which was a book, movie, or series left you disappointed. I think that's category one. So maybe
Looking
it left
at you, How I Met Your Mother.
Yes, I put How I Met Your Mother on here. A bad ending, you didn't agree with the ending, or maybe it left you on a cliffhanger. You didn't like it. It wasn't fully resolved. A la Daisy Jones and the Six. That would be great fanfic. You know what happens after the end of the book. Or maybe you just like felt like it wasn't an unfinished series, or maybe you didn't agree with something that happened in the books and you wanted to rewrite it differently or something like that. So I think if you're disappointed, that is like the perfect avenue to go look for fan fiction. Or if a TV series is canceled before it finishes, or it is on a cliffhanger, I think that is like, you're automatically going to want to go look for fan fiction, because there's someone out there who's also been disappointed and has written a version that you like better than whatever really happened, and it kind of gives you that closure. So that is reason number one. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, totally. I think that is a big part of it. Like, things like itches that need to be scratched in some way. Although I think for me, it always, like, I had some legalism issues.
Yeah.
And so it always felt a little bit still unsatisfying, even if it scratched the itch a little bit, because it's like, this isn't canon. Like, I need, for instance, J.K. Rowling to say that this happened.
Yeah.
And like, so, but it was fun. It was definitely fun, but it doesn't totally erase the fact that Ted ends up with Robin.
Sure.
Even no matter how many fan fictions you read, but I agree with your analysis.
It's like a little salve, yeah. I think especially if something is unfinished, that can really be helpful. Like, not necessarily if you're changing. I agree. Like, I don't really like necessarily things that change what actually happened, unless it's like a whole different universe setting. But if something is like unfinished or, cliffhanger type thing, I think I enjoy that a little more, like finding some resolution.
There's also like, this is so weird. I've been seeing this on my TikTok like this week. A bunch of like Hermione and Draco kind of things.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it doesn't actually change the book. It's like, it's entering in this like little side story that could have happened anywhere in the series. And it's like Draco and Hermione like get together.
Yeah.
And like, I keep on seeing these TikToks that are like, when Draco finally calls her Hermione instead of Granger. And I'm like, it took me a while to be like, oh, this is like an active like fandom that people have, because I think also, and here's another layer I just thought of, it is heavily rumored that they kind of had a crush on each other throughout the books, throughout the actors had a crush on each other throughout the filming of the movies. And so people have parasocial relationships with these actors and also inextricably link them to the actual characters in the book. And so they just want to see that all play out, and, No,
I definitely think fan fiction is great if you are, like, shipping a couple that doesn't exist in the real books as well. Like, if you're Team Jacob, you might find a lot of fan fiction you like, because there might be, like, alternate universe where Jacob and Bella end up together. So I think, that's also a great category under this subcategory, because, yeah. So the second one I thought is you love the world or the characters so much that you don't want to let them go, which I think is a lot of why I also read Twilight fan fiction because the series ended, but you're like, oh, well, I want to keep reading about Edward and Bella, like Orpida and
Yeah.
Katniss. What happens after the Hunger Games are over? They're still, like their life together. So maybe you miss your favorite
Yes.
characters.
It feels kind of depressing, like
Yeah.
kind of this like emptiness is like, oh, it's over now. Oh my gosh.
Especially, I think, in a book series where you're spending a lot of time reading the books and you
And
invest
waiting for
and waiting,
them.
especially, yeah, if you're reading them as they're coming out, like that could be years of your life, and then all of a sudden it's just over. So I think, that can make you feel like you need to keep living with them, like I want to read more about these people or what happens next. So definitely. And then the last thing I wrote was easy access to fiction. Like when I was growing up, I didn't have a Kindle, I didn't have Libby. Like I went to the library with my mom a lot, but like you run out of things to read at a certain point. And so I think I read a lot of fan fiction as books. Like there are a lot of fanfics I read growing up that are just as good as real books, like they were well written, well thought out. And so I think it was so easy and it's free, like it's just online and you already know the characters, so it's kind of easy to get hooked in. And so, especially Twilight, like I said, on fanfiction.net, there was just an endless supply of Twilight fan fiction with any scenario you could imagine because they were so popular.
There still is.
Yeah, and there still is out there. So, obviously, 50 Shades of Grey famously was a Twilight fan fiction before it was a book and an actual movie. So, obviously, I don't even think that's a good representation because I think there's a lot better authors out there. But yeah, I just think it was easy access to really good fiction when you're younger and now there's a lot more books that are more accessible, like on Libby, or if you have a Kindle, or you can easily buy a book online. But as a kid, like you don't have that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and then also like now as adults, you could read adult fiction, we could read young adult fiction, whatever. But back then, you're kind of just reading young adult fiction. And then what you have access to is like the media center at your school.
Yeah.
Or the young adult section at the library. And if they don't have the book that you want, then you got to put it on hold.
Yes, the YA section at my library was one shelf, like one line aisle, I guess, of shelves. So I read a lot of the books on there that I wanted to read. Like, at a certain point, it's like, okay, fan fiction has more stuff that I've never read before.
Totally.
Okay, so those are my reasons why I think people... Do you have any other reasons you feel like I missed of why people read and write fan fiction?
I mean, this is going to sound kind of dark, but kind of throwing it back to what we discussed back in our Twilight episode, which if you haven't listened to our Twilight episode, please go back and listen to it. But we talked about like why Twilight, for instance, resonated so much with like young women, but then also moms in their 30s and 40s. And I think part of it is like, it's like an outlet. It's why people love books to begin with. A lot of times it's a way to escape and get away. But this is an even further, you can be completely in control of the narrative and you can create whatever narrative you want. And it's kind of an outlet for yourself.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is totally unhealthy. I think there's a balance and it's cool to have outlets and, whatever. I think it's a way to like even further imagine the life that you want if you aren't unsatisfied with the life that you have.
Yeah.
That's why it sounds a little bit dark, but.
No, I think that's true. And I think something in my research for this episode, I forget the names of all the authors, but there are a lot more authors coming forward nowadays being like, oh, I got started writing fan fiction. Because I think it is, I was like 14, 15 when I was first writing fan fiction. And, it's like, it's a little easier than obviously it's easier than coming up with a book from scratch because someone's already done the work of making these characters, creating a world. But it's also like a good way to practice your writing. Like take these characters and world you already know and come up with something new that happens with them. And so I think it is becoming a little more common for authors to come out and say, yeah, I started as a fan fiction writer. That helped me develop and now I'm able to write on my own. But I think it is kind of like,
you also get immediate feedback.
Yeah.
Like if you have a good fan fiction, you get to see, oh, people really like this. So you get to like for free test out your stuff and see like how popular it is.
Yeah, you get people reviewing every single chapter that you put out. You get people following you for updates, and it's not like you have to write an entire book to get input. Like you put something out there and people are telling you instantly if it's good or bad. So,
Okay, speaking of fan fiction, this is something you and I just remembered this about the normal gossip episode.
oh yeah.
I want to direct our listeners. First of all, after you're done listening to all of our episodes of everything that we have, go listen to Normal Gossip.
Oh,
There is an episode
so good.
about basically a fan fiction where these girls are writing fan fiction about a podcast,
Real
like
people.
a real life, real people,
Mhm.
and they meet them for real in real life, and things happen, and it's so good.
It's so
But
good.
that is where that story was a wild ride, but that is where fan fiction, like, I think that is like the ultimate achievement of any fan fiction writer is like your fan fiction basically came true.
Yes, that's what happens in that
Like,
episode. I will say, I feel deeply uncomfortable by writing fan fiction about real people. I just think that's
yeah,
a smidge too far
weird.
and uncomfortable. And so I think that's where I would say I check out of fan fiction. I'm not going to read something that's about a real person. But
Fictional characters are fair game.
fictional characters are fair game, but real people, let's leave them out of our fanfics, okay?
Okay. Or just put it in your diary. Like, don't post it online.
So, the history of fan fiction, basically what I learned is as long as there's been fiction, there's been fan fiction. Like back before we had written stories, like oral history, it was low key like fan fiction because people were kind of adding on or changing things as they retold the stories. So people could say whatever they wanted, basically. So, that's classic. And then apparently Gulliver's Travels inspired a lot of fan fiction. Like there was romantic fanfics people were publishing. And the article I read about this was saying that Gulliver's Travels was kind of in that era where more people were having access to literature and able to read, like that ability was becoming more common. So that was kind of like also the rise of fan fiction. And then as we know it today, I guess it was popularized in the 60s by Star Trek, the Star Trek fandom, apparently. I'm not a part of this fandom, but I guess they really went hard on writing fan fiction about the characters and the scenarios and the people, whatever, involved in Star Trek. And that is kind of that was kind of the beginning of what we think of as modern fan fiction. And of course, with the internet, there's been fan fiction, but what I learned from my research is there has always been fan fiction. It is not new. And I think that's just so interesting that us humans we're just basic, like we're all the same. No matter what time period
Our
you're
little
in,
brains.
you're like, I love this story and I want more about it.
I want to be more happy. So while you're saying that, I just a quick Google search of the most popular fiction, like what things have the most fan fiction written about them.
Oh,
This is from Wikipedia, so
yeah, take it with a grain of salt.
take it with a grain of salt. What if you had to guess? What do you think the number one is?
Of all time.
With 842,000 stories about it.
Oh my God. I have no idea. What is it?
Harry Potter.
Oh, really?
So Harry Potter, and then Naruto, which is anime. I don't know anything about
That
that.
tracks.
Then Twilight.
Wow.
Then Supernatural, the TV show.
That makes a lot of sense.
And then a couple more animes. Then Glee. There's a lot of anime on here. And then Sherlock, the TV show, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. A lot of anime. Maybe we need to have somebody on the podcast who knows something about anime. Anyways, all right, cool. Go back to what you were saying. I just derailed the conversation.
Okay, so that's the history of fanfiction.
Okay, yeah.
Us humans are basic. So stop saying fanfiction is dumb or like of the modern era. It's not. I don't know if anyone's saying that, but
And stop saying fanfiction is dumb because a lot of women write it.
facts.
You weirdos.
So I wanted to do a little discussion. Do you think overall fan fiction, is it good or is it bad for literature? Do you think it's like cheating at reading and writing? Does it count? Does it support books? Does it take away from books? Like, what do you think? Is it overall good or bad?
I think it's a net positive. I think the only negative would be like what it does to your brain if you get too into it. But I think like it's positive for authors. It helps them make more money. It's positive for like the industry in general because it helps generate new ideas and like kind of like crowd test what is good and what isn't good and what kind of stories people want to read. Um, it probably gives authors good ideas about what they want to put in their books. I think it's a net positive. What do you think?
Yeah, I fully agree. I think it is a net positive. It's keeping people engaged in your books, which I think is never bad. Like you want people to be engaged with your fandom. You want people to be thinking about it when they're not reading your books. Like they can't always be reading your books. Um, I think, yeah, I think it counts as reading. Obviously, I put it clearly, I agree because I just counted my reading of Peta's Games trilogy as towards my reading goal for this year, and I have no qualms about that. They, again, are book length and are at times better than the original Hunger Games books, in my opinion. They're
You're
so
not going to get
good.
any pushback on that from me. I think
Thank
it's the
you.
book.
And I don't think it's cheating at writing either. I think the stuff that people write, like a lot of it is bad, let's be honest. There are, like she said, 800,000 Harry Potter fan fictions. They're not all good, but there are ones out there that are outstanding. And I think, it's like a little leg up. It's not like the same as writing a book from scratch that you came up with in your mind. But I don't think it's cheating at anything. I think it's just using a different means. And I wish there was a way for fan fiction authors to actually make money because I think what they're
Yeah.
doing is, like, I understand it's kind of, plagiarism in a way. Not really plagiarism, I guess, but like,
it's not.
It's not. And I think it should be like, you can make money on Instagram, you can make money on TikTok, you should be able to make money on fan fiction too. I understand why you can't, but like, I don't think they should be publishing them as books.
Like intellectual property and stuff like that.
But I think they're putting a lot of work into them, and some of them are really good, and I think just as good as books. So you should at least get, maybe a penny per view or something. I don't know, some little amount for your work. But yeah, I think it's good. I think it's overall good for literature. And I think it gets, a lot like we've talked about with Twilight and stuff. Like, yeah, it's not like maybe critically good, but it gets people into reading. And I think that is good. Like, if you are reading fan fiction, I think that's good. Like, if that's what you're able to read, and what keeps you interested, like, I think that's overall good. Like, I think it's good for your brain to read. It was good for my 15-year-old brain to be reading as much as I was, and a lot of that was fan fiction, and I don't think there's anything bad about that.
Yeah. Read what you like.
Read what you like. Okay.
That's our advice. Read what you like, and if that's fan fiction, go off.
Go off. So, I thought we could play a little game.
Okay.
Called Fan Fiction or Real Book. Dun, 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 dun. So I have pulled 2 quotes. This is kind of hard actually because so many fanfics are like clearly about something else. But I have the Hunger Games first. And one of these is really from the Hunger Games. And one of these is from the Peta's Games fanfiction. Okay, so first quote. But the arena is more beautiful than District 12, just like death is more restful than mere sleep. There are trees on the other side of the creek, cattails and wildflowers, and great big tumbling white boulders. It's all fresh and unspoiled by cold dust or ugly buildings or defeated faces. And then quote number 2. Making the kids from our districts, forcing them to kill one another while we watch. This is the Capitol's way of reminding us how totally we are at their mercy, how little chance we would stand of surviving another rebellion. Whatever words they use, the real message is clear. Look how we take your children and sacrifice them, and there's nothing you can do. If you lift a finger, we will destroy every last one of you, just as we did in District 13.
This is so hard.
I tried to make it hard.
Okay. I think that they both could be in the actual Hunger Games because I think they're both really good.
Yeah.
But I know that Peta's Games is from Peta's perspective, and I think the first one sounds more like Peta's perspective.
True.
I'm right. Okay, but they're both really good.
I
just don't think Katniss is like...
She's not that positive. Yeah.
She's not that positive.
No. So yes, that is from Peta's Games, book 1. He is it is when he's like covered in mud and he's like sleeps, and that's like the first night's sleep he's gotten because his leg's all messed up, and he wakes up and he's like, wow, it's kind of nice. I feel good. So that's the scenario. Okay, these are from Twilight, but one of these is from Midnight Sun and one of these is from a Twilight fic because the Twilight fic I found was from Edward's perspective. So
okay.
I wanted to match it up. Okay. In the crystal sharp retrospect, I could see how pathetic my little rebellion had been. The desire for blood, even for the blood of wrongdoers, was inescapably childish. I reflected upon it bitterly as I made my way home. Quote 2. Though I hated her, I was absolutely aware that my hatred was unjust. I knew that what I really hated was myself, and I would hate us both so much more when she was dead.
Oh my gosh. This is so hard.
They're both very dark, by the way.
They both are deranged, as Edward is deranged.
As Edward is deranged.
Okay, I think, gosh, this is just genuinely a total guess, but I think the first one is fanfic.
Yes.
I did it! That was really hard, though.
It was, there's some good fics out there. Well done, though. Well done. You're an expert. Okay, so now I wanted to play a game called Humiliate Emily. And this is what happened. I thought I had deleted all my fanfiction. I logged in to the account I thought was my fanfiction account, and it was all gone. So I'm like, oh, I deleted it all. But then I had this thought. I have this other email that I never use, and I just sign up for giveaways with it because my spam goes there. But I'm like, I think maybe I used that to actually write my fan fiction because it was anonymous. It didn't have my name on it. And I log in with that email, and there they all are.
Oh my God.
So I started writing these when I was 15-ish, 14 or 15. It was in 2010. So I think I was probably about to turn 15. And I have 3 different ones from 3 different fandoms. And I'm going to read you the titles. And you can pick which fic you want to read from.
I get to pick?
And then I'm going to let you pick a chapter. And then I will read from that chapter. Yeah. Because,
okay.
And I'll say they're not as bad as I thought. Honestly, I thought it would be more embarrassing. But I'm like, actually, some of these are pretty good. They are what they are, but they're not great. Okay, so here's my fanfics that I had written. One is called Peter Pan. One is called Severus and Lily. And one is called... You can pick which one you want to read.
Is about matched?
It is about Edward and Bella. This is the description of that one. When Bella moves in with the Cullen family and Alice and Emmett decide to make a match out of the egotistical Edward and the shy and smart Bella, it can only lead to disaster and hilarity.
I'm going to go with the second one, the Severus and Lily.
I'm going to have to bleep out their names so people don't go and look at these. Okay. So what I used to do is I used to name the chapters after song lyrics. So I'm going to read you the titles, and then you can pick which chapter.
This is so much better, since I knew you when you were 15.
Yeah.
Just everything about it is just delicious. Okay.
Unfortunately, all of these are unfinished, and I feel really bad, because actually one of them had a good bit of followers, and people were, reviewing it, please finish this, please finish. And I never did. Unfortunately, yeah. Okay, so chapter 1, I meant that I'd love you forever. Chapter 2, you're going to be the one that saves me. 3, am I crazy or falling in love? 4, an illusion is hope born from fear. 5, please don't go because I need you now. 6, don't you want the way I feel for you? 7, it seems like that should be enough. 8, she's almost brighter than the sun. 9, the start of every tear I'm going to cry. 10, I will lay down my heart. 11, I guess I'm just looking for love. 12.
The start of every tear I'm going to cry. Okay. That's it.
Okay, so the song for this chapter
I'm so excited.
Was Here Comes Goodbye by Rascal Flatts.
Here comes goodbye. Is that how it goes?
Here comes the pain. Here comes wishing things had never changed.
Never changed. Okay.
Okay. Should I read the whole thing? It's not that long. Okay. That day, that terrible, horrible day, that day when everything went wrong, that day. It started out like any other day. Sure, Snape was in a little bit of a bad mood. It seemed like his creepy friends always showed up when he was about to ask Lily out. However, it was just a normal day. More than normal, in fact. The sun was shining, birds were singing. It looked like a fantastic start to a fantastic day. It looked wrong. Severus Snape strolled across the green yard outside Hogwarts towards his love. Lily Evans was sitting under a large oak tree, their tree, completing some homework. "Lil," he called. She looked up and grinned upon seeing her friend. "Sevy, I've missed you." "I've missed you too, Lil. School's been tough." "It has, but you're here now. Sit." She patted the ground next to her, and he sat. She smiled even wider and laced their fingers together, squeezing his hand. "Well, well, well, if it isn't Snivelus," cried Sirius Black with mock surprise, as him, James, Peter Pettigrew, and Remus swaggered over to where the two friends lay. "Go away, guys," Snape snapped, angry that people were continuously interrupting his precious time with Lily. "Do you hear that, James? He wants us to go away." Sirius laughed with a smirk on his face. "Is that what we're going to do?" "No," James grinned along. "I don't think so." With evil smiles on their faces, they used Snape's own spell against him, hoisting him up in the air by his ankle. "You cut that out, James Parter," Sev's angel called. Suddenly James's whole demeanor changed. He straightened up, blushed a bit, and dropped Snape at once. "Aw, Snivelus, your little girlfriend's sticking up for you?" Sirius laughed. Shame, humiliation, and fury flooded Snape. All the rage from years of beatings from his parents, constant bullying at school, and always coming up short in the race of life welled up inside of him. And as so many hurting people do, he took it all out on the person he loved more than anything in the world. "Shut up," he yelled, not at the four marauders, but at Lily. "Just shut it. I don't need your stupid help. You're just a stupid mudblood." James and his cronies all called ooh in shock and entertainment at the twist of events. But real pain filled the eyes of Lily Evans. "Goodbye, Severus," she whispered as she fled with huge tears rolling down her cheeks. James, Sirius, and the rest followed right behind. In that moment, Severus Snape realized the enormity of what he had just done. It wasn't the word mudblood in particular. People called Lily that all the time, and it never really bothered her. However, it was the betrayal. It was a stab in the back. It was because he was supposed to be the only one who would never let her down, but he had. Severus raced after Lily to apologize, maybe, but something inside of him realized it was already far too late. Fiend.
Oh my gosh. Emily, that was good. I want to read it now.
Thank you. Honestly,
that was supposed to be embarrassing, but I don't think that was embarrassing.
No, that's what I was saying. It wasn't actually as bad. There was a couple. My one about Peter Pan, I'll say, is the worst one. It is not well written. But
okay, well, that's fine. I mean, that was actually good. So wait, do you go on in a fan fiction to explain how James and Lily got together?
Yes. It's kind of fast forwarded through. This one I almost finished. It probably had like one chapter left, which is kind of sad. I could have gotten it. But I kind of gloss over how they got together. Like, Severus just kind of hears that they eventually got together.
I kind of want to try writing fan fiction now.
It was kind of honestly lit. I loved writing fan fiction. Thank you.
Hey, maybe one day we'll make that like a Patreon level. Like if you give us $5 a month, you could read our fan fiction.
Oh, wow. Anyways, I was really glad that I didn't delete that. That's what I will say. I see a lot of people, a lot of younger people on TikTok now talking about how they are going to delete all of their fan fiction because they're embarrassed by it. But look, just keep your name anonymous. Don't delete it, though, because when you're older, you are going to want to go back and reread that. I was really sad when I thought I had deleted it all, and I'm, like, glad I did it, because it's cringy at times.
What a time capsule.
But, yeah, it is a time capsule of how you, like, now, I'm like, yeah, Snape and Lily, he kind of sucks. Like, but at the time, I was so moved by their story that I had to write this fan fiction. I don't know.
And one day, when you're a famous author,
you're
going to be like...
I'll release it from the vault.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways.
Wow.
Thank you for humoring me.
Speaking of famous authors, or not that famous authors, should we talk about a book we read recently?
I would love to. I'll go first. So, the book I read recently was 9 Perfect Strangers by Liane Moriarty. And
Mr. Moriarty, I presume?
She writes a lot of books. I think she wrote Big Little Lies. She wrote, obviously, this one, which was adapted by Hulu into a TV show. She's written a lot of kind of famous books, but I had read one by her that I didn't love, Truly Madly Guilty. And then I had read one by her that I really loved called What Alice Forgot, so I really liked that. So I was kind of like, okay, this is her third chance. If I like this one, that means I like her as an author. I just didn't like that one book. But if I didn't like this one, that probably means, just don't like her as an author. But I really like this one. So now I'm like, okay, I need to read more of her books. But basically it follows 9 people who end up at this like health resort, and it's like a luxury health. They only are accepting 9 people at a time, and they're all kind of strangers, or some of them are, it's like a couple, there's a family, and then there's a couple individuals. But they all kind of have their own reasons for coming there. And then the I don't know, the owner of this health resort, she is a character, and she basically had a heart attack many years ago and kind of like has this method for healing, and she uses that to sell to wealthy people who want to come into her health resort. And so it obviously gets dark very fast. It takes a turn. Things are not what they seem, and it's kind of like, how far would you go to like be healthy? To either, you know, some are there to heal emotionally, some physically have problems, but they're all there seeking something. Like, how far would you go to fix that? But if you're a fan of like The White Lotus, things like that, I think you would really like this book. I've heard the show is also really good, so I need to watch that. But it's a little.
I've watched the show.
Okay, did you enjoy it?
I did. I wish that you had watched the show so I could ask you if the book was.
Yeah,
if the book
I need to watch it.
But you know what I was thinking the whole time I was watching the show? I was like, I kind of wish I read the book. I feel like the book is probably better than the show. But
probably, as usual.
But yeah, watch the show and let me know what you think.
Okay, I will. But yeah, her books are pretty long. Like, a lot of them are really long. So I think that does add a lot of like backstory that sometimes would get cut in an adaptation. But it's really good. It's really interesting. I think this is a good one because it has so many different characters, so the length doesn't get as like boring. Like the one I read by her that I didn't love, it was just a lot of, it just took forever to get through. And this one was probably equally as long, but it had so many characters, it was kind of like bouncing back between a few of them. So I think it was a really good read. So yeah, if you like The White Lotus, if you like books like, or like kind of like that, where it's a lot of different characters, secluded, and takes a dark turn, I think you would like this book.
All right.
Okay, what about you?
That's good. I recently read a memoir by Pete Holmes called Comedy Sex God. So are you familiar with Pete Holmes?
Somewhat, yeah.
Okay, so he's a comedian. I became familiar with him when I started listening to his podcast, You Made It Weird with Pete Holmes. But he also has like a show on HBO, I think, called Crashed that is done running now, but it's kind of about his life. Anyways, he's a comedian, so it's really funny. And it's not very long. It's like a quick, easy read, but it's about his life growing up evangelical Christian and deeply steeped in purity culture. He got married really young, and his wife left him, and his faith falls apart, and then he becomes an atheist. But then he also then comes back to a place of spirituality and is now like a really spiritual person who like believes in God again. And it's just really interesting. It's relatable in a lot of ways. And he just tells a story in such a funny way. He talks about meeting his wife who he's married to now, and like his success in like, he's really good friends with Kumail and Emily, Kumail Nanjiani and Emily Gordon. And he's really good friends with John Mulaney. And they all kind of started out at the same time in Chicago.
That's cool.
As comics doing stand-up. So it's just like, I don't, it just was really delightful. I read it on a plane recently. It was short. It was good. I highly recommend if you're into like a fun memoir and if you can relate to any of the things I just said, any of those experiences. It was a lot of fun.
Sounds really good.
That's my recommendation.
Awesome. Great episode.
Thanks, everybody. Like and share. Bye.